Here's a question for you. Which party do you assign these priorities when it comes to helping the poor? Which party has generally been the party that you think, okay, it's a priority to help the poor?
Okay, I'll play.
Just play.
I'm going to play along. The Republican Party. The Republican Party is the party that helps those without the most in this country. Now, it is up to you and everybody else that heard me say that to show me what they've done.
Okay, and the reason we're saying that is because, I mean, that is something that the Democrats used to have a stake in or basically use as the claim, like we were the party. But that is something that has changed in recent years. And so the question is, despite all this rhetoric about helping the poor, the Republican plan when it comes to this latest budget proposal tells a very different story. So according to a Seattle Times analysis, these proposed cuts to Obamacare and Medicaid would basically result in about 13 million Americans getting bumped off health coverage, including more than 216,000 here in our state. And and this is thanks to Danny Westnate, who's laid it out in his column in the Seattle Times. He points out that the biggest hit would actually be on red counties. In eastern Washington, where the economy is not as robust as over on this side, more families actually rely on subsidized care. Counties like Ferry, Pend Oreille, and Adams have more than 50% of working age adults on Medicaid or Obamacare. And here in King County, we're looking at 22%. Now, again, looking at in central Washington, the 4th congressional district, that is deep red territory, 70% of kids are on Medicaid compared to 26% in Seattle's 7th district.
Right.
So with all of these potential cuts and the impacts of this GOP budget proposal, and we have a list of some of the things that are on there right now. I mean, what are some of the things that stand out to you?
Well, let's go with, in this proposal, work requirements. This proposal mandates that able-bodied adults on Medicaid must complete 80 hours of work per month to maintain eligibility. Let's stop right there. So basically, in order to get these benefits, you have to be able to work 80 hours. Hey, I have a question for everyone. Has there ever been a time in your life that you wanted more hours, but the employer couldn't give you more hours? Mm-hmm. Has there ever been a situation? Have you ever been in a situation where you are trying to work, but you just can't get the hours? So then imagine you are begging your boss for the hours, you can't get it, and now you don't qualify.
Yeah, I mean, there are a bunch of that's a great scenario that you point out, and there are a bunch of other ones that would potentially make it impossible for you to meet those 80 hours of work per month to stay eligible. Another one is, okay, imagine you have a home that is worth, or you have home equity that is over $1 million. You would be ineligible for Medicaid. Okay. Now, again, having my dad had just going through that, you might have a home here in the Seattle area that you have that is $1 million. Yeah. You have that equity, but you don't have a whole lot of cash. Mm-hmm. You know how quickly, remember what I told you, and I should have been very specific about specialized and skilled nursing homes versus assisted living, because I looked it up, and assisted living facilities on average are more like $8,000-$9,000 a month. But if you have any additional care needs, we're talking about, that's where you're talking about $12,000, $14,000, $15,000 a month. Mm-hmm. So even if you have that home equity of over $1 million, how long is that going to last if you're not eligible for Medicaid?
Exactly. And speaking of that, some of you all have texted in. I remember, Ursula, last week we were talking about prescriptions. Oh, no. Was that this week? We were talking about how much money a month that some of you pay.
And some people
in prescriptions.
Texted in, yes, and said they were talking about $3,000 per shot.
Yeah.
And if they didn't have insurance, they would be having to pay that out of pocket. Okay, so a couple of other things. They're talking about there's going to be more. I don't think that's a problem to have more frequent eligibility checks because there is Medicare and Medicaid fraud, and I think that's all great. But it also includes per capita caps on federal Medicaid spending, and it would limit the amount of federal funds allocated per enrollee. I mean, again, bottom line, we're talking about the folks who may need it the most are going to be the ones most harmed by this budget.
You know, Ursula, this topic, when we are talking about this, I'm not going to get hyper today because I just want to control my emotions. But I get extremely upset because during the course of our show, I am the one that people always text in and says, Gee's always trying to give people money. Gee always wants to give people money. And it's interesting that I get that reputation because I am for people just being able to make it. But when things get hard for those individuals, I could assume that you won't say that same thing because what has happened is politics supersedes human decency. So it's so important to own the libs. It is so important to tell people, oh, Sleepy Joe Biden, let's go Brandon. At the end of the day, yeah, I know I'm getting sidetracked, but this is what we are dealing with. We are not getting to the core problem in this country. And here's the truth. There are a lot of people that are financially struggling.
Yes.
Period.
But here is the other part of the rub, though. I mean, just the newly passed budget in our state. The Democrats are supposed to be really in tune with the people who are struggling, and we just passed a whole bunch of taxes that, again, are going to hit a lot of the people who are the most vulnerable, one of them being the gas tax increase. I mean, so we're getting hammered both on a federal level and on a state level. I mean, the budget that was passed by the legislature includes huge tax increases.
How else? Okay. How else?
And cuts, and we talked about that. We talked about that again. So, I mean, it's like it's really hard. You can't only pick one party and say,
No.
These moves are not helping.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, no, I'm picking one party. I'm picking the Republican Party that of both parties. I'm picking. This is the Republican Party. The only thing they do is react and respond to. They never have a plan. As a matter of fact, if I bring up raising minimum wage, what party is going to be against it?
Oh, yes, the Republican Party.
If I bring up helping people with child care, what party is going to be against it? I mean, no. Let's not do this both sides stuff.
Now, looking at what was passed by the Democrats in majority right now in Olympia, are you trying to tell me that that's not going to have a negative impact on people who are already struggling right now?
Yes, it is
going to have an impact.
But we all know why we're having this problem in the state of Washington. Let's call it what it is. We're having this problem where the Democrats have to raise all these taxes because we are a regressively taxed state. That is the number one reason. That is why we're having this problem, period. And by the way, I wish some of you all down in Olympia would come out and start having this conversation on the record instead of behind the scenes telling us that the state income tax will be very important. I'm sick and tired of being the radio host that comes on here and you guys think that I'm crazy. These folks are having these conversations behind closed doors and they won't come on a record and talk about it.
You're exactly right.